Yep. That's the very, very classic one. Anyone who kind of went to high school during the early aughts knows about, and anyone who later kind of knows from like YouTube clips and Vines, and also I think a rap song in there somewhere that is definitely included at one point or another. So Comedy Central renewed the show then on March 8, 2004 for 2 additional seasons. A little under a month after the Rick James sketch aired. Comedy Central is the rightful home of the Chappelle Show and Dave's unique and provocative brand of humor. So yeah, pretty much like that is you belong with us in Comedy Central. Yeah, the deal they're reported to be worth $50 million. Chappelle about what? 4 months later, June 18th, 2004, during a stand-up performance in Sacramento, California, someone repeatedly shouted, "I'm Rick James, bitch," at Chappelle, interrupting the show. Chappelle left the stage for about 2 minutes before returning and stating that the Comedy Central show is ruining my life and that he did not enjoy working 20 hours a day. He just wanted out. Chappelle went a step further and said, "You know why my show is good? Because the network officials say you're not smart enough to get what I'm doing, and every day I fight for you. I tell them how smart you are. Turns out I was wrong. You people are stupid." He also stated, "This stand-up is the most important thing I do, and because I'm on TV, you make it hard for me to do it." The local paper, the Sacramento Bee, wrote a full account of the evening's events, including Chappelle making a rather humorous reference to Silence of the Lambs and proving that he's, of course, always been a big movie fan there. And that is a big moment there. Chappelle's show boosts Comedy Central's ratings overall. As it turned out, the channel saw its ratings increase by 28% due to the strength of Chappelle, and he earned 2 Emmy nominations July 15th. A few days after the ratings due, the show earned its first Emmy nominations. While it was later revealed the comedian took a break due to stress, Comedy Central announced in December 2004 that season 3 would premiere on May 31st, 2005, instead of February 5th, 2005. At the time, the network said that Chappelle had come down with the flu, and then, of course, season 3 was delayed indefinitely. Just a few weeks before the premiere of Season 3, Comedy Central announced the show would not hit its intended release date, and production had been suspended until further notice, and Chappelle himself did not provide a statement. It turns out about 10 days later, Entertainment Weekly and the New York Times reported Chappelle had left the U.S. for South Africa to enter himself into a psychiatric facility. He pretty much, like the pressure of being in kind of this network TV environment pretty much drove him bonkers. I hate to say it. Time magazine eventually caught up with the comedian who stated he left to be in a quiet place for a while and that he was definitely not on drugs. Chappelle wanted to cast blame on some unmentioned people in his inner circle about the cause of his stress, saying, "If you don't have the right people around you and you're moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, you can lose yourself. Everyone around me says you're a genius, you're great, that's your voice, but I'm not sure they're right." The thing that seemed to really break Chappelle was the Black Pixie sketch. He stated that during the sketch's filming, a white spectator was watching and laughed loud and long. At this point, Chappelle wondered if he was reinforcing stereotypes instead of satirizing them. When he laughed, it made me uncomfortable, Chappelle said. As a matter of fact, that was the last thing I shot before I told myself I gotta take an effing time out after this because my head almost exploded. And that was something that he thought, there was clearly a moment where he was just like, wait, I'm questioning everything here. Like, I don't even know. It's kind of having an existential moment. In a random footnote to all this, it was revealed in a 2019 interview with Netflix that none other than a young John Mulaney delivered the news to Comedy Central president Doug Herzog that Chappelle had left. Furthermore, Mulaney traveled to L.A. to recover production tapes of what bits Season 3 Chappelle recorded. So that's a fun thing there. Chappelle, summer 2005, was hesitant to return. A dinner with Comedy Central president Doug Herzog. Chappelle expressed hesitation to return to the show, saying the fame was getting to him. He said that he wanted to be wrong again sometimes instead of always being right, and that's I think is a really interesting guy because he it's such a very thoughtful soul. Like always says things that are really deep and very I mean, not always things that you necessarily see eye to eye with him on, and sometimes you don't. Like you don't see him. It's like, oh, I don't know about that, but you have to appreciate the thought that he's put into it, and he has, I think, a mind that's just very much different than the average person that just breaks it down into a way that's just so simplistic and so sensible. And I think that's the mind of a comedian, and they're really a big part of why Dave Chappelle is so great. Yeah, so meanwhile, Charlie Murphy, he went on to declare the show done. His collaborator, Charlie Murphy, declared the show dead in the water. He said, Chappelle Show is over, done. It took me a long time to be able to say those words, but I can say it pretty easy now because it's the truth. I'm disappointed it ended the way it did, but I'm not angry with anybody. Chappelle Show was like the Tupac of TV shows. When it came out, it got everyone's attention quick. It was a bright, shining star, and it burned out for some strange reason. It burned out quick. Around the same time, the show's co-creator, Neil Brennan, left the production, effectively putting the final nail in the coffin. So, what did Dave do instead there? He kind of cleared the air a little bit with Oprah. Let's take a look at that.
So what happened to Dave Chappelle? He's here today to talk about it in his first television interview. Please welcome Dave.
This was 2006.
I'm glad you're here. Everybody wants to know, why'd you walk away from $50 million?
Well, I wasn't walking away from the money.
Yeah.
I was walking away from the circumstances that were coming with the newfound plateau.
Yeah.
It takes a while when you punch through to adjust to the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. It was completely outside of my frame of reference. I've been in show business since I was 14, and I've heard the stories of what happens, and I've seen these kinds of things play out in front of me.
Okay.
When
you say you heard the stories, what do you mean? What stories?
I mean, you see it before. Look, Mariah Carey made a $100 million deal, and 3 months later, she's all of a sudden mysteriously crazy. Or Martin Lawrence punches through, and he's waving a gun on the street screaming, "They're trying to kill me."
Yeah. Yeah, we hear those stories.
And it always happens around the time of their career where it seems as though they're crossing over the next plateau.
Yeah. Would you say you lost your mind, sort of?
No.
No.
Not exactly.
Okay.
I wasn't crazy, but it's incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
And I felt like in a lot of instances, I was deliberately being put through stress because, when you're a guy that generates money, people have a vested interest in controlling it.
Yeah. Were they trying to control you? Because, I read the Time magazine article, and they were quoted as saying you had extreme creative control and that you really ran your own show.
Yeah, okay, well, Oprah, I did 2 very successful seasons before that. So why all of a sudden on the 3rd time am I in Africa by myself? Like, what's happening?
Yeah. So what happened? Did you find yourself spiraling downward?
Well, first of all, yeah, but I don't want to make it as a thing where I'm absolving myself of any responsibility of it. Obviously, I'm partially responsible. A lot of it has to do with me.
Was there a tipping point for you?
I'll give you an example. The first season ends.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the seasons, there was a renegotiation.
Okay.
Ultimately, through a series of events and a little pressure, I ended up settling for way less than what I wanted and going forward. And then in season 2, the DVD's released, and it sets all these incredible records. Turns out the back end...
$500,000 in one day.
Right.
1.2 million in a week. The largest selling television DVD of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now suddenly, this is a bigger money maker than they thought. It was already making money, but now all of a sudden it's a whole new revenue stream, and my contract's up.
Yeah.
So we finished the season. So now, the show is gaining popularity. The ratings are up every week. I'm the toast of the town.
Yeah.
And when the season starts ending, you get the question, so, Dave, what are you going to do? And blah, blah, blah. And I knew to be real tight-lipped about it. It wasn't like Comedy Central was a hot place to be when I showed up there.
Yeah. But you turned it around. Your show turned it around, became the most popular.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so and this is the thing. We have all these arguments. Davey got cut the poop joke, and there was a lot of discussions about we know what our audience wants. I was like, yeah, whatever. And I mean, they were wrong 100% of the time as far as what people would like.
Okay.
And I mean, I really think it's not too deep here. It's not like beyond, but I think just generally this applies to so much of the kind of artistic landscape, and it's such a broader kind of disturbing thing I think about our systems that we have a market where the arts market where the primary thing driving the market is algorithms, revenues, what people think people want, and artists are put under control, and artists who do the labor and kind of like do all the hard work are kind of put in are kind of forced to kind of like pay an agent, pay a publicist, pay people who, if the kind of cavernous or kind of just swamp-like system of just the entertainment culture in general, like Hollywood, music business, whatever business, comedy business, TV business, like whatever business that you may be in, as long as it's kind of entertainment related, there's always going to be the sharks out there, and there's always going to be this system designed to, if you are successful in any real way, to just kind of shut you down and prevent you from exercising your own free will, whether it be creatively, whether it be with your, like one of the biggest trends in music right now is we see all these artists, all these very popular artists in these intense legal battles with people who have all this power over them, when they really, in terms of actually creating direct benefit that goes to people, they don't do a lot of it. It's all just there to kind of create and uphold the system that only really serves to make themselves rich and inhibit the kind of lack of movement and the lack of artistic strength that all these great artists need and so clearly benefit from. And as Dave Chappelle is saying here, they don't know any better than you. Like, they don't know any better than what the artist wants. Like, the artist is right in a lot of the times here. The artist can, like, if the artist culture and the cultures that are in this area, like in their certain areas, if artists lead the way, then people, I think, will follow. That is I think something that we've seen for a very, very common period of time. So what did he do next? He went on Inside the Actors Studio, and he provided further context on his departure. In an interview with Inside the Actors Studio with James Lipton, Chappelle stated his father's death contributed to his departure by throwing himself in the show's production. He didn't have time to process fully, saying, quote, "I would go to work on the show. I felt awful every day. That's not the way it was. I felt some kind of prostitute or something. I felt like some kind of prostitute or something. If I feel so bad, why keep showing up in this place? I'm going to Africa," he said. "The hardest thing to do is to be true to yourself, especially when everyone's watching." So, Season 3's Lost episodes aired on July 9th, 2006. Comedy Central actually, again, despite, the express wishes of the creator, decided to air the remaining Chappelle Show episodes. So he said he closed the door on a return if they move forward. Charlie Murphy and Donald Rawlings took over the hosting duties for the final few in-studio recordings, with the last episode airing on July 23rd, 2006. So on November 21st, 2016, post-Chappelle Show, the comedian would kind of mostly stay out of the public eye. He toured in 2013, where he famously left mid-show during an appearance in Hartford, Connecticut, after an audience member insisted on shouting Chappelle Show lines at him, which is really kind of just a great thing to do. Like, I hope you feel so great about yourself ruining someone's night by, like, just being a complete jerk and doing that kind of stuff. So Chappelle also headlined 10 nights worth of shows at Radio City Music Hall in June of 2014. A few weeks after hosting SNL, for which he won an Emmy, it was announced he'd signed a deal with Netflix, and the streaming services said it would release 3 new specials at a rate of $20 million per special. Wow. So the first 2 specials, Deep in the Heart of Texas and The Age of Spin, debuted on Netflix March 21st, 2017. Coming from Chappelle's personal vault, Texas was originally filmed in 2015, and Spin was filmed March 2016. Both marked Chappelle's first concert specials in 12 years. Netflix later said that Texas and Spin were the most viewed specials in Netflix history, and both of them would eventually go on to win Grammy Awards. and continued. They expanded the deal. They released the fifth special, 6 in Stones, and also released 846 via Netflix's social media.